Hello guys, today I would like to go a bit with the while loop, where I would like to go through a bit of it and then see if we can do more examples on while. Alright, go to your favorite app or software and as usual run it so that you know that it's running well. Right, again a quick summary of what while is it's a loop. So whenever you want to repeat something with a certain number of limits, you can use while so that the program can run in a loop. So let's say you would like to, just a quick summary. By now I hope you have attempted to do the exercise and homework in the previous videos. If you haven't, please do. If you have questions, post it out on Spectrum. Okay, so today I would like to go through with two more examples. But let's start with the quick one. So let's go through with a simple example. Let's say if you like to print out 10 asterisks. Okay, if you like the user to enter a number, let's say you like to print out a line of asterisks, but the number is determined by the user. Okay, a simple exercise for you to use the while loop. If you are following now, I would highly suggest you to look at how I structure my program, so that you notice that there are certain ways of typing it. Sometimes I type certain things first and without typing the other ones, even though that thing might be at the top. Okay, you will notice that I will normally straight away type the while without declaring the variables. Yeah, because sometimes I do it that way. So I know that I'm using A, so later on I will just type in variables like that. Okay, so coming back to your program, so you want the asterisk to be printed according to the number entered by the user. Alright, so let's say we like to print out horizontal manner. Okay, today I would like to introduce to you this symbol. Okay, we'll show you what it means later. Okay, so you've used the variable A, you declared the variable A, so this looks right. Okay, while the A is less than 10, sorry, this won't work. No, this is not the right way to do it. Okay, that's more like it. Yes, I will not delete this error because this is how we learn together. Okay, making mistakes is part of the learning process, so yeah, that's more like it. Okay, so you ask the user to enter a number and that number becomes the limit, but the counter must always start with 1. Remember that. So the counter starts at 1, the maximum is A entered by the user, and print out the asterisk and the counter will be incremented by 1. Okay, let's have a look. Right, so the program asks you to enter a number. So let's say I entered number 10. Okay, there you go. 10 asterisks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, you got it. So run it again. So let's say you like to have a bigger number, 20. Right, so there are 20 asterisks altogether. So yeah, so the program runs well. So let's go back to the program and see what the new things that I've introduced today. So it should look the same with what you've gone through before, but as you notice, I've put in this symbol. Okay, whenever you have a plus symbol typed twice like this, it simply means incremented by 1. Okay, it's exactly the same as if you typed in. This is a comment, so you will hear orange in italic font, and it won't be run in the program, but it's for you to read. Okay, so a short form for counter equals counter plus 1 can be written like this: counter plus plus. Okay, and then if you like to minus 1, you can do it minus minus. Okay, right, so there you have it. So today we learn a new thing, which is If you would like to increment it by 1, you have a shorter form, which is counter plus plus. Alright, so save this if you haven't done so. Ignore the error part at the bottom. Save it as while. Okay, save it. Okay, so let's go to the example that I would like to share with you today. You need to read to understand the question before you attempt the program. Okay, I want you to write a program that finds the surface area of a sphere, which you should be able to do right now. I also want you to do is to write it in such a way that the program will continue to run until the user enters number 0. If you notice, all this while our program will stop at the end of the program. Okay, so whenever you want to run it again, you have to click on the run again. Okay, but now I would like you to write a program that will continuously run unless the user enter number 0. Okay, so let's do that. So before we make it continuously running, why don't we make the program that can calculate the surface area of sphere first? Okay, let's do that first. Enter a radius, let's say in centimeter. Okay, something like that. So let A become the as I promise you, our variable is always in another language in capital letters. Okay, so in a way you're learning bahasa in programming. Nobody does that, but I do it. Okay, so jejari is your radius. Okay, so enter the radius. Right, so delete this first. I'm using the same program that we've just gone through just now, so I'm deleting out the things that I don't need. Yeah, so this is the basic structure. So you ask the user to enter a radius, so see in the jari, so you just print out the answer at the bottom. Surface area of this here is you put the formula here. Okay, I hope you've memorized this since your childhood. It's 4 pi r squared. If you haven't, then you can always look up the formula on the internet. As you doing the formula, you'll notice that the jari is multiplied with a number that is not a whole number. Remember what I said with multiplication with non-whole numbers? So yeah, change it to other than integer, which is I always use double. Okay, so the surface area of the sphere is 4 times 5 times r squared. Okay, this should work. So let's run it. So enter a radius. Let's say the radius is 3. The surface area of the sphere is 113.108. I leave it to you to check with your calculator if this is right or not. Let's go to the next part where you make it continuous. Okay, right, for the next one, before we proceed, you might want to save this one and save it for you to study on the input-output topic. Yeah, because this question is basically an input-output statement, so you can use this example to study for that topic. Okay, right, to continue, in order for us to make this continuous program running, you might have some idea here because you are in the while topic. So the idea is to keep this, all these 3 lines of code in a while loop. Okay, so that's the main idea. So why don't we do that? Okay, create the while loop. While what? What do you want to test? So notice that in the question we ask you to stop the program when the user presses 0. Okay, so let's say you call it press or tekan. So unless while it's not 0, so you would like this to run, right? So that's the whole idea. To make it nicer, I will push it a bit to the right and put the closing bracket here. Okay, so while tekan is not 0, tekan is press, you continue doing this. But what you need to add is every time at the end of this statement, you add in an additional question asking whether the user want to continue with the program or not. Continue with program, we ask that question. Press 0 if no. Whenever you are asking a user to enter something, you must put in the add the C in, okay, and the variable is called tekan. So that should be it, right? And since you're using a new variable, so you must type it there, you must add it at the top, okay? So that's the whole idea. So these are the main program that you have before, the 3 line. What you added is putting it in all a while loop, but at the same time you add one more question at the end to ask whether the user wants to continue with the program or not. Okay, but before that I just like to add this in so that it looks nicer. Okay, let's run this and see what happens. Okay, this looks alright, but as you notice, tekan is a variable, okay, and variable can be anywhere within the memory of the computer. For all you know, it's 0 already, okay. So this should make it clear that the variable that we're using has a value that will allow it to continue to run. Okay, let's do this. Enter a radius. I put in number 3 because you did the answer already. So program gives you the answer, the surface area, and it also asks you another question. Continue with program, press 0 if no. In that, what it means is that if you want it to stop, press 0. If not, you press other numbers. So let's say you want to continue. I press number 2. Enter a radius again. I put in 5. So the program continues, okay, without stopping. It will only stop if you press 0. What happens if you press 0 now? Okay, let's press 0 now. 0, enter. Now program is finished. Alright, so there you have it. So if you ever asked to make a continuous program, I hope you have straight away in your mind know that you need to use a while loop. Alright, so as usual, copy it and paste it and save it. Right, so let's go to the next example. We've done this. Okay, this is a very typical example question from me. I normally ask this in exams and in tests. Well, it could appear this year, it might not, but let's have a look at the example. Okay, so what I want you to do is to write a program that asks the user to enter an integer. With that, I would like you to create a triangle of asterisk, okay, with the same size. If the size is 4, you create a triangle that starts with 1, 2, 3, 4. It ends at 4. By now, I hope you notice that I can use with while, and the number actually corresponds with the number of the counter. Yeah, counter. So in a while loop, there is a counter. It seems that the asterisk is printed according to the number of counter. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember that in a while loop, the counter increases by 1. Yeah, so it starts with 1 and then becomes 2, becomes 3, becomes 4. Right, so let's try to do this and see what actually is happening. Okay, so let's leave that and start with something at the top. Okay, so start with a question, enter a number. I used the same file before, but you can always open up a new file. Yeah, so we call this a number. Number. Right, so what do you do with this? What you want is to print out an asterisk. Yeah, but the problem is you want it to print out at a certain number. Okay, you know that if you were to type it this way, it will only print out the asterisk at that particular number. So if you were to do this, it will only print out how many? Exactly the number that you want horizontally, right? So wait, let's correct the variable name. Okay, delete this one. Before I run, notice that you need what? You need one more. You always need an increment. Okay, right, so let's run it. So with this simple example, you notice that if you use the while loop this way, you only print out for asterisk. So how do you think you can print out the number according to the counter instead, right? And you want to print it one line, you want to print 4 lines, and each line you are printing another loop with the same number of counter. Okay, so what you're having now is actually what we've seen in the if else statement, which is the nested statements. In loops you can also do nested loops. Okay, so what you need to do for this one is that, so instead of just using while loop, you are doing a while loop within a while loop. Now that sounds a bit confusing, but doing the example and see if you can make sense of what is happening. Okay, so I'm gonna call something, let the counter becomes counter. At the inner one we call it counter inner. I just came up with the name, but it's too long to type, so why don't we just call it counter 2. Okay, let's make it a bit clearer here. Why don't I make it bigger? Right, so what I've done is, wait, it's not finished yet. Counter plus 1. Alright, so let me see if this is working or not. Yeah, I need one more. Remember, for every while loop you need to have 3 things. Yeah, the initial number, you need the limit, and you need to increment. Okay, always have those 3 things in, right? So yeah, so there you have it. So what I've done is that with the same initial program, I added another while within the while. Okay, so within that while, what I did was I added in another while to actually print out the stars or the asterisk according to the number of the previous counter. Okay, the first counter. So let's have a look and see if this works or not. Okay, let's run this. Enter a number. So keep your fingers crossed. I put in number 4 and press enter. There you go. So it works. So let's run it again. So let's say you put in number 6. There you go. A triangle with the same size. Alright. So as usual, go ahead and save this program. Right, so let's look at the example, the homework that I would like to give you. It's quite similar to the triangle question just now, but the difference is that I would like you to create an isosceles triangle, meaning that instead of the triangle looks like that, it now looks a bit more like a proper triangle, an isosceles triangle. Okay, so I leave it to you on how to do this. I believe there are solutions on the internet, you can find it out. But if you want to do it yourself, the hint or the tip is that instead of a while loop within a while loop, yeah, you'll be needing 2 while loop in one while loop, because the first while loop would be to do the spaces here, and then the second while is to print the asterisk. Okay, within that while loop there are 2 while loops. So have a go. But if you like me, of course there are additional example to do this. Why don't you try these shapes? Some of it is asterisks, some of this is numbers. And if you're really into programming and would like to challenge yourself, although there are answers online, but you can always challenge yourself to do it on your own, find the formula for it, is for you to display this triangle, which is called Pascal triangle. Yeah, in mathematics, this is one of the most famous phenomenon, where it can explain quite a number of things. It has been studied very long time ago, even in the times of ancient times. Yeah, why don't you try and have a go and see how you went along. Thank you. See you in the next video. Happy coding.